Hello students, welcome to the third session for 9th standard science dealing with the chapter the diversity in case of the living organisms. Well, up till now we have discussed very well the hierarchy of the living organisms, the classification and the evolution, the various forms of the classification, the Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification and the Plantae. Now today our main focus of attention is on the Animalia, that is the kingdom animals and its various phylum and the classes. Well, today our main focus of attention is on the kingdom Animalia. Now these animals are eukaryotic, multicellular and heterotrophic. Their cells do not have the cell wall. Most animals are mobile and they are further classified based on the extent and the type of the various body design differentiation that are found. And these animals, they play a huge role in our day-to-day life, as well as they are helpful in the identification of various disorders, that is the various diseases also. Well, by the end of this chapter, we'll be able to learn a lot of things, that is the classification of the animal kingdom, the name and the classification of the invertebrates of the different phyla, and the names and the description of the 5 classes of the vertebrates. So if we observe them in much detail, what do we understand? So let us see a typical chart of it. Well, here we can see the body organization, that is based on the cellular level, means if the body is made up of the typical cells. Then we have the tissue level, the symmetry, the bilateral, the coelom. So these are the various things which we shall study in this part of it, up to the lowest organisms to the highest organisms. So the animal kingdom is basically divided based on the presence and the absence of the vertebral column. That is the invertebrates, those who are not having the vertebral column, and the vertebrates, those who are having the vertebral column. So let us go into the first one. The first phylum is the phylum Porifera, then Coelenterata, Platyhelminths, then the Nematoda, the phylum Annelida, then phylum Arthropoda, phylum Mollusca, the phylum Echinodermata. And then those who are having the vertebral column are said to be the vertebrates. Now invertebrates, they do not have a notochord. Now notochord is nothing but the primitive level of the spinal cord. The first phylum is the phylum Porifera. So the word itself means the organisms having the holes. These are non-motile animals which are attached to some solid support, and there are holes or pores all over the body. These lead to a typical type of a canal system that helps in circulating water throughout the body to bring food and the substances. These animals are covered with some sort of hard outer skeleton. They are multicellular in origin also. Furthermore, they have a minimal differentiation and they show the division into the tissues. These are commonly having the marine habitats also, the sponges, the silica. So their outer layer is basically having a lot of pores through which the entry and the exit of various substances ultimately they take place. The second phylum is the phylum Coelenterata. These are animals living in water. They show more body design differentiation. There is a cavity in the body, means a space in the body. The body is basically made up of the layers of the cell. One makes up the cells on the outside of the body and the other makes the inner lining of the body. Some of these species which are living in the colonies are the corals, while the others, they have a solitary life. Solitary means what? They are living alone. They are the hydra. The jellyfish and the sea anemones are some of the other examples. Here we can observe very well the corals which are found in large amount under the water. The hydras also. They show radial symmetry. Means what? If we divide it from the radius, the basic division will be absolutely same. So when we cut them from different parts, they seem to be same from the radius. The body cavity is said to be the gastrovascular cavity. So here you can observe the movement of the hydra. The next phylum is the phylum Platyhelminths. So the body of the animals in this group is far more complexly designed than in case of the other two groups. The body is bilaterally symmetrical. Bilaterally symmetrical means when we cut the body into two parts, the right and the left halves of the body have the same design. So that is said to be the bilaterally symmetrical. These are made up of the 3 layers of cells. So as the body is made up of 3 layers, they are said to be the triploblastic. This allows the outside and the inside body linings as well as some organs to be made. There is thus some degree of tissue formation also in them. However, there is no true internal body cavity, and the name of the body cavity is said to be the coelom, in which well-developed organs are accommodated. The body is flattened dorsoventrally. So from the top and from the bottom side it is flat. Here we have observed the bilateral symmetry. That is, if the body is cut into 2 parts, the left and the right side will be absolutely same or the similar in nature. As they are flat, they are said to be the flat worms also. They may be free living or the parasitic also. And a lot of numerous examples are there. Here we can observe very well the triploblastic in nature, and they do not have a proper body cavity, that is a coelom. So they are said to be acoelomic. The next basic example, or the phylum I should say, is the phylum Nematoda. Now they are also bilaterally symmetrical and the triploblastic, which we have seen very well in the previous phylum. The body is cylindrical rather than flat. There are tissue but no real organs, although sort of body cavity, a false body cavity is there. So for a false body cavity, we use the word pseudocoelom. Pseudo means false. These are very familiar as the parasitic worms which cause a lot of disease, such as the worms causing the elephantiasis, that is the filarial worms, or the worms in case of the intestine, that is the roundworms or the pinworms also. So we can find them at various places, but they are highly microscopic in nature. They are bilaterally symmetrical, which we have seen very well that the right and the left side will be similar to each other. The body is made up of 3 layers of cells. So they are basically triploblastic in nature. They have a false coelom, so a pseudocoelom. For the word false, we have used the word pseudo. No respiratory system, no circulatory system. The next phylum is the phylum Annelida. They are also bilaterally symmetrical and are triploblastic in nature. But in addition, they have a true body cavity. So the body cavity, that is the coelom, is very well developed. And as a result of this, the true organs are to be packed inside the body structure. So thus, there is an extensive organ differentiation. This organ differentiation occurs in case of the segmental fashion. So the entire body has a lot of similar segments, means the partitions are there. Further, this differentiation makes the segmental fashion, and these segments, they are lined up one after the other from head to the tail. These animals are found in variety of habitats, the freshwater, marine, as well as on the land also. They are triploblastic in nature, that is the body is made up of the 3 layers of the cells. The presence of some sort of circulatory system will be able to observe in them. Next is the phylum Arthropoda. This is probably the largest group of the animals. These animals are bilaterally symmetrical. They are segmented also. They have an open circulatory system. It means that the blood does not flow in the well-defined blood vessels. The coelomic cavity, that is a body cavity, is filled with some sort of blood, and they have jointed legs. That is, the word arthropod itself means jointed legs, and a lot of examples which we observe in a day-to-day life, they are having the jointed legs. They are almost 80% of the animals found in the surface of the earth. Here are the various examples. That is the bilaterally symmetrical. The left and the right side will be similar to each other. They are triploblastic also. Body is made up of 3 layers of cells. For the respiration, they have some sort of the trachea. We humans have lungs. This is the nervous system which provides the signals to the entire body. The next phylum is the phylum Mollusca. Now in the animals of this group, there is a bilaterally symmetry. The coelomic cavity, means the body cavity, is reduced, so it is not very well developed. And there is a little segmentation, so not the true segments will be able to observe in them. They have an open circulatory system. The kidney-like organs are there for the purpose of the excretion. These are the various examples of it. There is some sort of foot that is used for moving around. So here we can observe the foot, the head, and the body mass, which we have used as the visceral mass for the purpose of the movement. The shell type of animals are also there. That is, all the animals having the shell will be found in this group. They are bilaterally symmetrical and they are less segmented. Body is made up of 3 layers, so they are said to be the triploblastic in nature. Up to a certain extent, very well developed coelom is there, and the lungs are used for the purpose of the respiration. In the diagram, we can easily observe it out, the various parts of the body. The kidneys are used for the purpose of the excretion. The next phylum is the phylum Echinodermata. In Greek, the word echeinos means the hedgehog and the derma means the skin. Thus, these are spiny skinned organisms. So, on the surface of these organisms, we'll be able to observe some sort of spine type of structures. These are exclusively free living marine animals. And the body is made up of 3 layers. So, they are triploblastic and they have a cavity, that is the coelomic cavity. They have a speciality, that is a water driven tube system. So there is a speciality in case of that water enters into the tubes of these organisms and that they are used for moving around. They have a very hard calcium carbonate structure that is used for the skeleton purpose. Here the body is made up of the 3 layers, so they are basically triploblastic in nature. Here we can observe the coelom very well. And the tube feet, which are used for the locomotion purpose. So that was about the invertebrates. Proceeding into the chordata, and in there the primitive chordata. So the protochordata, these are bilaterally symmetrical, they are triploblastic and they have a coelom. In addition, they show a new feature of the body design, that is a notochord, which we call it as the primitive spinal cord. So from the name itself, protochordata, proto means primitive and chordata means the notochord. They are bilaterally symmetrical and basically triploblastic in nature. These are the various examples of it. Now what is this notochord? It is a long rod-like structure that runs from the back of the animal, separating the nervous system and the gut. Gut means the digestive system or the digestive tract. It provides a place for the attachment of the various muscles for easy movement also. And these protochordates may not have a proper notochord present at all stages of their lives or for the entire length of the animal also. So it is only present at the early stage of the development, that is the notochord. So those who are having the primitive spinal cord, they belong to this category of the animals. So proceeding into the vertebrata, those who are having the vertebral column, that is the backbone. These animals have a true vertebral column and the internal skeleton, basically allowing a complete different distribution of the muscles for the purpose of attachment. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomic, and the segmented, with the complex differentiation of body designs. And they have a lot of categories, that is the Pisces, amphibia, reptiles, aves, and the mammals. The characteristics which they possess, that is they have a notochord or dorsal, that is on the back side, a nerve cord, they are triploblastic, they have paired gills, and they are coelomate in nature. So let us go into them one by one. The first is the Pisces. So all the fishes, they belong to this category. They are exclusively water-free living animals. The skin is covered with the scales or the plates. They obtain oxygen dissolved in water with the help of the gills. The body is streamlined. Streamlined means the boat-shaped body, and the muscular tail used for the movement. They are cold-blooded, and their heart have the 2 chambers, unlike the 4 in case of the humans. They lay eggs, and we can observe a lot of fishes. The fish is made up of the cartilage, and the fish is made up of the bones. Few of the examples of the cartilaginous fishes are the sharks, and the one which are made up of the bones as well as of the cartilage are the tuna or the rohu also. The next phylum, or the next class I should say, is the class amphibia. Now amphibia are the animals who live in both the land as well as in the water. So the body, they lack some sort of scales. They are cold-blooded animals. They have a 3-chambered heart, and the respiration takes place by means of the gills or the lungs also. They lay eggs, and these animals are found in water as well as on the land. A lot of these examples which we can observe of the animals living in water as well as on the land also. But frogs are the best examples of it. They use their various respiratory system, that is the lungs, for the purpose of the respiration. They have a 3-chambered heart. They lay a lot of eggs inside the water. Furthermore, the next class is the class Reptilia. They are cold-blooded, and they have scales and breathe through the lungs. While most of the animals, they have 3-chambered heart, the crocodiles are the only exceptions which have the 4-chambered heart. They lay eggs with a tough covering, and they do not need to lay eggs in water, unlike the amphibians. Snakes, the turtles, the lizard, and the crocodiles, they fall into this category. Lot of examples of these animals which we can observe in our day-to-day life also. They are pentadactyl tetrapoda. Tetra means they have the 4 legs with 5 fingers. So they are said to be the pentadactyl. Penta means 5. The respiration by means of the lungs. 3-chambered heart in case of the lizard, but the crocodiles are the only examples having the 4-chambered heart. That is the rare exception. They also lay eggs, but in case of the land. The next is the class aves. So all the birds, they fall into this category. They are warm-blooded, and they have a 4-chambered heart. They lay eggs, and there is an outside covering of the feathers, and they have the 2 forelimbs which are modified for the flight, that is for flying, and they breathe through lungs. And all the birds, they fall into this category. Furthermore, the wings are used for the purpose of the flight, and using the aerodynamics of the birds, we now have the aeroplanes. So with the help of the shapes of the birds, the aeroplanes are being made. Here we can observe very well the typical shape of a typical bird. So they are warm-blooded animals. Lot of categories in the birds are there. They also breathe through lungs, and with a 4-chambered heart. They lay eggs with a hard covering. The last but not the least is the class Mammalia, in which we are there. They are warm-blooded animals with 4-chambered heart. They have the mammary glands for the purpose of the milk to nourish the young one, which are found in case of the females only. That is very well developed in case of the females. We have the sweat glands, the oil glands, and the hair on the skin. These are our characteristics because we humans belong to the class Mammalia. There is 4 on the surface of the body for the purpose of the protection. In different sorts of habitats, the organisms are found, whether it is hot or cold, or in case of the aquatic medium also. For the purpose of the nourishment of the young ones, the mammary glands are there. Here we can easily observe in case of the cows. Very well developed body with a proper respiratory system, the proper heart which actually pumps the blood to the entire body. There are certain exceptions of it. Let us observe it out. Only duck-billed platypus lays eggs. It is one of the mammals who lays the eggs. And the kangaroo, it develops a primitive young one, so it has a pouch inside which the animal basically belongs. It does not lay eggs, so directly the birth of the young one, ultimately it takes place. So that was about the entire chapter in relation to the diversity in case of the living organisms. Well, in the next class, we shall discuss one more new and interesting chapter of the biology section. Thank you very much.